Professor Russell Rickford. Now, I want people to remember as we get into this controversy, he made these remarks 2 days ago on Sunday, 8 days after the war started, 8 days after the atrocities and the terror attack on Israel started. So he decided to get out there at a rally 2 days ago and say the following about watching that attack. Listen.
Wow. That's what he thought, bro? What? Is he smoking? Is he smoking? Is he smoking? Smoking cocaine, bro. Cocaine. Yeah, that's crazy. This is crazy. Indubitably.
Oh my God.
He's wild, bro.
Now that Cornell has received probably thousands of complaints, including from Jewish students who have to go sit in his history. Oh my God. So now
that's deplorable. It truly is detestable.
So now that Cornell has received probably thousands of complaints, including from Jewish students who have to go sit in his history class, I know one of them. Now he comes out and tries to excuse it this way, Josh. What I was referring to, again, 2 days ago, quote, is in those first few hours when they broke through the apartheid wall, it seemed to be a symbol of resistance. It signaled that the Palestinians' will to resist had not been broken. Quote, in subsequent days, we learned of some of the horrifying realities. Okay, now first of all, that's all a lie, because he's saying it 8 days in. Everybody knew 48 hours ago about all the horrific claims I just showed you the sound bites of, plus. We all knew. So he cannot blame what he said 2 days ago on just, I guess, after that, after Sunday, that's when he learned about the atrocities. And then he goes on to say, hey, in subsequent days, we learned of some of the horrifying realities.
Incredible, bro.
But I want to make it clear that Hamas is a fundamentalist organization. It's important to know that in some ways, the fundamentalism of Hamas mirrors that of the Israeli leadership. That's him putting it all in context, you see. That's America's teaching collection today. Cornell.
You know, Megan, I was actually up at Cornell. I was at Cornell University like 2 or 3 weeks ago to give a Federal Society Law School lecture. If I had known that this man was there, I might have paid him a certain kind of office visit.
Cornell
really
is located in New York,
when I hear stuff like this. I mean, from this guy, there's a professor at Columbia University, Joseph Massad, I think is his name, a very similar quote, all sorts of other professors. I just cannot describe to you, Megan, as a proud Jew, as a fairly religiously traditional and fairly observant Jew, it really just makes me want to start throwing punches. I mean, hearing this kind of stuff, here we are 78 years, again, after the defeat of Nazi Germany, and our esteemed quote-unquote public intellectuals at Ivy League universities are saying that it is exhilarating to see the most genocided people in human history genocided once again. I mean, I just don't have words for this stuff. I mean, this is not a polite debate.
Crazy.
We are not debating
exhilarating.
What the capital gains
That's what he honestly thought. That's what he candidly thought.
The gestational limit for abortion should be 12, 15, 18 weeks or something like that. We are literally talking about whether a country, Israel, and ultimately Jews worldwide, because that's obviously what they're getting at here. We all saw that clip down in Sydney, Australia, a week and a half ago, where all the Muslims are gathered at the iconic Sydney Opera House chanting, "Gas the Jews." I mean, that's really what's going
crazy.
On here. I heard that is what we're debating. We are debating whether people like me, my family, my fiance, my friends, ultimately have a right to live. And it really just takes me back, frankly, to kind of the antebellum debates over slavery. I mean, again, it is a binary choice here. You have good or you have evil. Look, I am not a neoconservative. I'm a foreign policy realist. I think that some foreign policy conflicts are a little more complicated than the neoconservatives make it out to be. Some genuinely do have a gray area between the two extremes. This is not one of them. This is an extremely binary black or white case here. There is
will vanquish wickedness,
and I said in my column last
iniquity,
week,
evil,
you are either with the
immorality,
who committed atrocities that legitimately would have made the SS, the Gestapo, the folks at Auschwitz and Birkenau and Treblinka, that would have made them proud. You know, that would have led to Hitler and Himmler and all of them saluting you from hell.
Righteousness
or you stand
over
against
devilishment.
These atrocious barbaric atrocities and scumbags. I mean, that is the basic choice there. And it just saddens me and devastates me to no end that higher education has been so corrupted and so co-opted by purported public intellectuals who are openly cheering on the side that
shamelessly, brazenly.
That's the thing. So it's like, even if you've been following the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and understand, how they got there,
indubitably
and have sympathies, even if you were to have sympathies with the Palestinians and the position that they're in, even if you were in that position, what kind of a human could look at what happened 2 Saturdays ago and say anything other than, my God, I don't want anything to do with them. I condemn Hamas in the strongest terms possible. This is
a
evil
terroristic,
incarnate. Like, period.
Abominable organization.
And then you can go back to arguing the Palestinian-Israeli conflict and the politics of it, but there's no answer to what we saw other than it's evil and it has to be stopped. Hamas must be stopped.
Yes.
And there's a reason these people can't bring themselves to say it. The shredded lettuce.
Cowardly, man. The people that fail to condemn Hamas are cowardly, bro. Pusillanimous, man. Straight up and down facts. Not all people who fail, but a lot of people who fail to condemn Hamas, to say that Hamas is a terroristic organization, are pusillanimous, bro. They are cowardly, bro.
Looking good, guys.
That has been incredibly difficult to tell is getting even more challenging today as the fog of war and, to put it kindly, irresponsible reporting leads to chaos, violence, and canceled diplomatic meetings that actually could have helped prevent more death and destruction. Shortly after this show ended yesterday, we started seeing reports about a hospital bombing inside of Gaza. The news was devastating. Video posted by the...
I meant to say that I did not mean to say a lot of people. I did not mean to say not all, but a lot of people that fail to say Hamas is a terroristic organization are pusillanimous. I meant to say the people that fail to say that Hamas is to say publicly that Hamas is a terroristic organization are pusillanimous, bro. Every person who does not that does not bravely say that Hamas is a terroristic organization is pusillanimous, cowardly, bro.
Leads to that has been incredibly difficult to tell is getting even more challenging today as the fog of war and, to put it kindly, irresponsible reporting leads to chaos, violence, and canceled diplomatic meetings that actually could have helped prevent more death and destruction. Shortly after this show ended yesterday, we started seeing reports about a hospital bombing inside of Gaza. The news was devastating. Video posted by the New York Times showing the moment of impact. Claims from the Palestinians and their media enablers were that hundreds of people had been killed, children hurt. The Palestinians said Israel was responsible. And almost without question, the media and politicians on the left in particular took the news and ran with it. This is just a small sample of the headlines in the social media posts. The BBC, hundreds killed in Israeli strike on Gaza hospital, Palestinians. Officials citing them. CNN, Palestinian Health Ministry says 200 to 300 people may have been killed in an Israeli strike on hospital in Gaza. New York Times, not to be outdone. Israeli strike kills hundreds in hospital, Palestinians say. The Times would later amend that headline to take out Israel on the fourth try, third or fourth. Al Jazeera English, Israeli air attacks have killed hundreds of Palestinians in hospital in Gaza City, where thousands are seeking medical treatment and shelter. And then there are the politicians, including, of course, squad member Rashida Tlaib. You can always count on the
far
Congresswoman
leftist,
to show
radicalist, Rashida
Israel just
Tlaib.
bombed, she tweeted, the Baptist hospital, killing 500 Palestinians.
That was a
doctors, children, patients, just like that. At POTUS, President, this is what happens when you refuse to facilitate a ceasefire.
She said misinformation. That tweet was misinformation. Information.
Has opened my eyes and many
that wasn't true that Israel bombed the hospital.
Will remember where you stood. Remember,
she
this
jumped
is the same
to
person
conclusions, sadly.
Kept her mouth noticeably
sadly.
shut, repeatedly refusing to condemn the murders of Israeli babies by Hamas terrorists.
That journalist asked.
The Fox News reporter got in her face over and over. She couldn't muster.
She refused.
One word of
She
sympathy.
failed to.
A similar, if slightly subdued message was
to
also
demonize
by her
Hamas.
pal,
Crazy,
Omar,
bro.
as she says, IDF reportedly blew up the hospital. Now, the Israelis issued a statement initially saying in part that the IDF was investigating and wanted to prioritize
Israel
accuracy.
Defense Forces.
So at this point, a responsible journalist might say, let's take
Israel
a step back,
Defense Forces.
wait for more. But the
IDF.
seeds had already been sown, and man, were they dangerous. The people who hate Israel took the lack of an immediate denial as an admission of guilt. Or perhaps they just wanted to believe it. Never mind that about 2 hours later, the IDF released its security assessment after reviewing all the facts, saying a barrage of rockets were fired by terrorists inside Gaza toward Israel. They passed in close proximity to the hospital at the time that hospital was hit. Israel understood quite early. This came from Gaza. It came from the Palestinian side.
Wow.
Videos were released. Surveillance footage appearing to show
people
large
blindly
barrage of rockets
believed
being launched
BS,
northern
bro.
Gaza at
Mendacity,
Israel. By the way, this
untruth,
was an attempt to kill civilians,
a false
Israeli
narrative.
civilians, followed by a massive blast on the Gaza side. Another video here, and what the IDF says is raw video showing a rocket aimed at Israel, misfiring and exploding at the same moment the hospital was hit. In fact, one video was actually airing on Al Jazeera, and it was broadcast live, appearing to show a failed rocket launch at the same time of the hospital attack. You can see it, you can see the missile explode and go off course, and then you can see the hospital explosion. So that's the assessment. But there's more. An IDF spokesman also came out and said it wasn't even Hamas that fired this rocket. It was Islamic Jihad, which is another armed group inside of Gaza. Watch this.
I can confirm that an analysis of the IDF operational systems indicates that the barrage of rockets was fired by terrorists in Gaza, passing in close proximity to the Al-Hali al-Mahdi hospital in Gaza at the time it was hit. Intelligence from few sources that we have in our hands indicates that the Islamic Jihad is responsible for the failed rocket launch which hit the hospital in Gaza. I repeat, this is the responsibility of Islamic Jihad that killed innocents in the hospital in Gaza.
Crazy.
We should say here, Islamic Jihad is denying Israel's claims, saying it had no operations.
People that falsely accused Israel need to.
Israel has released what it says now.
Definitely.
Operations in the area. Where did all those rockets
Take
come
back
from?
what they said.
Israel has released what it says.
Apologize.
Operations in the area. Where did all those
And
rockets
take
come from?
accountability. the people that
We should say here, Islamic Jihad is denying Israel's claims, saying it had no operations in the area. Weird, where did all those rockets come from? Because we see them. Israel has released what it says now is a roughly 1-minute intercepted call between two Hamas operatives who discussed the rocket that landed on the Gaza hospital. We have voiced over the translated part of that call. Listen.
I'm telling you, this is the first time that we see a missile like this falling.
And so that's why we were saying it belongs to Palestinian Islamic.
What?
They were saying it belongs to Palestinian Islamic Jihad.
It's from us?
It looks like it.
Who says this?
They're saying that the shrapnel from the missile is local shrapnel and not like Israeli shrapnel.
I mean, you're not going to get closer to a smoking gun than that. Folks responding online to the IDF's account refuse to believe this is real, of course. Last night, President Biden released a statement that said in part, "I'm outraged and deeply saddened by the explosion at the hospital in Gaza and the terrible loss of life that resulted, and have directed my national security team to continue gathering information about what exactly happened." The president was already wheels up en route to Israel when we learned that a planned meeting he had in Jordan was suddenly off. So much for diplomacy. Done. Good job, Palestinians. Good job, Islamic Jihad. You got what you wanted. Meantime, Hezbollah declared that today they're up in, of course, Lebanon.
Hezbollah, Lebanese group.
Hamas does. And they've declared that today, the day of President Biden's visit, should be a, quote, an unprecedented day of anger. Unprecedented day of anger.
Lebanese extremist group, Hezbollah.
Rage was already unfolding.
Let me know if I
in the wake
butchered
of this
that
allegation
pronunciation.
that it was Israel, and the media enablers reports that it was Israel killing 500 civilians in a hospital, helpless civilians,
Yeah, that was
at the evil
that
Israeli
was a
hand
lie that
that
Israel
led to this
bombed
scene,
the hospital in
these
Gaza.
scenes around the globe.
That was mendacious. A mendacious statement.
You get it. Those were scenes from Amman, Jordan. Protesters taking to the streets, trying to gain access to the Israeli embassy. Security forces managing to push them back. Now to Turkey, where a large crowd gathered near the Israeli consulate. Watch. Look at the numbers. Police had to prevent protesters from storming the consulate. Israel has now told its citizens to get out of that country. In probably one of the most disturbing scenes, protesters outside of the U.S. Embassy in Beirut, Lebanon, raising the Palestinian flag alongside the flag of Hamas outside of our facility. Watch this. That's enough of that. Following those protests, the U.S. State Department authorized a voluntary departure from Lebanon of Americans working for the embassy, along with their families. Over in Iran, this is just stunning tape. A massive crowd developed outside of the British and French embassies in Tehran. Protesters chanting "Death to Israel, death to France, death to England, death to all the Westerners."
Crazy.
They burned Israeli flags and threw eggs at the wall of the French embassy.
Wow.
In Toronto, Canada, pro-Hamas crowds actually chanted for the decapitation of Israelis.
Wow, bro. That's, yeah. Devilish, bro. Demonic. Abhorrent, bro.
Say, so what do I usually do
Execrable.
if I'm out of Iraq? actual F.
Execrable. Execrable.
Meantime,
be
here at home
execrated.
in New York City,
To
protesters
be reviled.
burned the Jewish state's Star of David flag and celebrated.
Wow. That is super wild.
I'm sorry, but that
Wicked
Allahu
wild.
Akbar makes my skin crawl. It makes my skin crawl. This is what you hear before they kill innocent civilians. This is their rallying cry when they're burning things and calling for beheadings. It makes my skin crawl. At one point, the pro-Palestinian protesters screamed, "You bombed a hospital!" Which, okay, no. And counter-protesters supporting Israel screamed back at them, "Terrorists!" Overnight, Israel also released what it says is footage from the area before and after the rocket launch. This is important. Saying it appears the scene of the fire was not even the hospital. It was a parking lot near the hospital. Saying there are no visible craters, unlike the damage caused by an IDF ordinance. President Biden is now in Israel. He's meeting with leaders, including Benjamin Netanyahu, and this morning had this to say.
Deeply sad and outraged by the explosion at the hospital in Gaza yesterday. And based on what I've seen, it appears as though it was done by the other team. But there's a lot of people out there not sure. So we've got to overcome a lot of things.
They're not sure. Why are they not sure? Why? Because the media took the Hamas claim that Israel did it and killed 500 suffering civilians and ran with it. President Biden expected to speak by phone with the Egyptian and the Palestinian leaders who canceled on him as he headed out to the Middle East.
Gotta have the facts straight, man. That's
continues,
important.
And Israel is said to be amassing some tens of thousands of soldiers preparing for a possible
journalists should definitely have the facts straight. Yeah, bro. It's crazy, man. That certain people falsely accused Israel of bombing that hospital, bro. It's crazy that Tlaib refused to apologize, bro. She was unrepentant, impenitent. She did not take down her tweet. She did not take back what she said. She did not. It's crazy. Yeah, Republican law on the ABC News.go.com site. In an article I read that Republican lawmakers called on Democratic lawmakers to apologize for falsely accusing Israel of bombing the hospital. Michael Lawler, who is a Democrat, he's in New York. He's a New York representative. He said that the Democratic politicians that blamed Israel should apologize. Certain Democratic lawmakers called out Tlaib and certain other people that falsely accused Torres, who's a Democratic politician in New York. He said he did not say names, but he said that they were wrong. They were in the wrong. I forgot to say Michael Lawler said that it's appalling that certain Democrats partook in the Hamas misinformation campaign. Gottheimer, he also spoke out against what Tlaib and certain other Democratic politicians did. Yeah, bro. Torres said that asked if they condemned the